Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Live, Midnight Express. And this time we're going to keep it to a Midnight Express. Last night I pulled off a Midnight Express and it ended up being an hour and 30 some odd minutes, which is basically a semi-overnighter. But once the conversation gets going, sometimes it just gets going. It's really, I try, if I'm trying to control time, to stay away from the nerve topics like wrestling and serial killers and heavy metal. For some reason, when we get on those, it could go forever and the sun will be up by the time I'm done. But alas, I do have, the work week to continue and headed into the weekend. And we're in the month of June with all manner of movies to promote. My goodness. The Flash, which you just did a lot of screenings for. And then apparently there's some stuff that they added to the later screenings, which is cool. I'll see it next week with a bunch of people again. We have Spider-Verse that just happened, which was the best Spider-Man movie, period. And it's funny. I always see people, that are conditioned to say that, Sony needs the MCU in order to tell a good Spider-Man story. As I rolled out my top 5, we were at number 5 before we got to one that it was even associated with Disney Marvel. So I will still contend Sony puts out the best Spider-Man stories, and you have to get to No Way Home before you get to the best one that Disney has put out. We got Transformers. I sent some people to that. The reviews are not as bad as I thought they were going to be. And then we have, obviously, The Flash getting released next week. We have Indiana Jones. And then Oppenheimer later on. So it's a big month. I mean, wow, just 3 years ago, we were stuck in COVID lockdown. Couldn't do anything but look at our tiny screens. And now look at us all back to the movies again. So it's looking like StreamYard and YouTube are all really way off as far as sending out and the signals goes. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to pace my conversation so that the rest of you can get in who do want to see it, who do want to watch it live. Like I said, the majority of the people who watch the shows I do, because of the time I air, they watch it on replay. So, hi, you guys. If you're not here live, I still love you. What's up, Fourth? Hey, Fourth, we got to get together, man. We got to do some Airbnb thing or something because I know Comic-Con is going to be expensive if you are going, and I don't want to get fleeced. I have access to all 4 days. I don't know. It depends on what kind of arrangements I'm able to make. I know I definitely want to be there on Friday. And since Hall H is going to be abbreviated this year, I think Saturday as well. But I have an access code to all 4. It's just, do I want to go to all 4? But I need to get down there. So we need to get together offline, man, and work something out. How you doing, Jacob? Yeah, Spider-Verse came out last Friday, man. And it's really good. If you liked Into the Spider-Verse, you're going to love Across the Spider-Verse. It is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I believe it is the best one. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dude, if I'm her agent, I put that in a contract that if I've even offered you take it. I don't know if age-wise it works because Miles is 15. And Gwen Stacy and him are supposed to be roughly the same age because she becomes Spider-Girl a lot earlier in life before she met Parker. So I guess they're roughly, I hate the Stampill's like, 23, 24? I mean, I guess she could look younger. I mean, Andrew Garfield is 40, and he looks like he could play a mid-20s Spider-Man, no problem. So, but if they were offered her that role, she should take that in a heartbeat, man. Hunter, what's going on, one pal? Have you heard that outside the USA and Canada and other countries, these not cartoon movies from Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse, they only like Peter Parker in live action and cinematic? That's I've heard that, but I don't know how true that is. But People got their preferences in live action. In most cases, Spider-Verse and Mario Brothers, notwithstanding, in most cases, your live action is going to draw more because people just put animation in the category in their head that it's not for adults. Nah, it got released last week, man, and it's pulling in. Where is Spider-Verse right now? I know it's making all kinds of money, and I'm happy to see that. Spider-Verse. All right, it's at 236 million. I can't believe this movie only cost 100 million to make with all that animation and that quality of animation, and it's already at 236 million. I don't think it's going to drop very much. Like I said, I don't know what its ceiling is, but man, I'm happy it's doing well. William thought on Transformers: Rise of the Beast, debuts with a perfect 93% audience score from Rotten Tomatoes. I listen, guys, and I appreciate the question, Jacob. You know how I feel about Rotten Tomatoes. All right. It's best for me just to abstain from giving opinions to Rotten Tomatoes. I feel the same way about Rotten Tomatoes as I feel about critics in general. If you are going to use Rotten Tomatoes at all, use it in conjunction with a whole bunch of other stuff. But as far as Transformers: Rise of the Beast getting a 90, it just doesn't mean anything to me because Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean it. Good or bad. I know, not just the stuff that when they knock movies I like. I don't when they prop up movies I like. I still don't trust Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't trust critics anymore. And it's not because I think they're disingenuous. It's because me and them don't see eye to eye. The critic is always going to get in for free. Your average viewer has to pay. So your average viewer should do a lot more research than just listening to a critic. I really enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse, my favorite Spider. Dude, this is going to be, trust me, Forth, if you like if that is your favorite Spider-Man movie, this one, I guarantee you, will surpass it. And I love Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, I really, really enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. The music is, man, everything about it was just like, it exceeded. It's like they took everything in Into the Spider-Verse and said, we're graduating to a next level. And that's exactly what they did. I love this movie. William, a Blue Beetle trailer has supposedly been made with a runtime of 2 minutes and 36 seconds that should drop soon. I'll give it a peek. Who knows? It may change my opinion about the film itself. I am not like knocking Blue Beetle, but I'm not like on the edge of my seat, like, ooh, Blue Beetle's coming. It's not like The Flash for me. It's not like Spider-Verse for me. We'll probably promote it, so I'll see it then, but it's not like one of those top of priorities. But you know what? Movies like that pleasantly surprise me every now and then when I got low expectations, and things get flipped. What the hell? Hold on. I'll turn on my massage too. All right, we go. All right. Tom Holland is not 38. He's like 26, 27. And he has the face of a 14-year-old. Cool. I mean, anytime you can make something more accessible to the common fan is better. I mean, I don't know if they even need to. I think they're doing okay now, but I guess they want more. The Amazon has a good business model. It's been working. So, cool. I mean, I have to pay tier. Whenever I go for all my streaming services, I go for all paid tier because I don't like, I don't like the interruptions. What if Spider-Verse makes less money? Return does it? Okay, when you say DES, what if Spider-Verse makes less money? Return and does not? Okay, does not. Well, it doesn't need to. Spider-Verse does not need to make $1 billion to be successful. Spider-Verse is already successful. It literally doubled over it. 236. It made 136 million above profit in its first weekend, pretty much. So it's already a profitable movie. And it's going to have legs because people are going to see that movie multiple times. So you cannot not see Spider-Verse, all those cameos. My goodness, there's so many cameos. If you are a fan of Spider-Man and not just Miles Morales, Spider-Man in general, this is your movie, and you're probably going to need to see it a few times. And I don't think it's going to have a big drop from this weekend to the next because right now there's nothing really coming out this weekend to really. Is Indiana Jones coming out? When does Indiana Jones come out? Oh man. So it's June 30th. So you don't really have anything that's going to get in the way of Spider Verse right now. I don't think it's going to have a big drop. Dude, the first one made $388 million on a $90 million budget. I think this one will probably end up topping out around 500 million. That's perfect for this movie. If it makes more, great. But $100 million on an animation, like I said, we just talked about how people put animation as far as like grown up adult stuff. So no, it does not need to make $1 billion. William thought on Zolo Molodrina might be appearing in the Booster Gold series depending on Blue Beetle. I don't have any thoughts. For like the next maybe year or so, guys, I'm probably going to be a downer because most of this stuff is 3 years away, and I just don't care about it as much as I would if it were 18 months away. Because a lot of these people that are mentioned with the writer strike going on, we're not doing anything until we're not getting anything on the big screen for quite some time now. And a lot of these guys that are mentioned in these projects will get other projects and have to move on. If things are delayed too much, even if the writer strike ends in the next 3 months, you still pushed all that production through. Because remember, most of these things, Superman Legacy was supposed to be on our screen in September of 2025. Right? I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're talking about 2026. That's 3 years from now. It's really hard to maintain that type of excitement for that long away. So I know some of you can. I can't. Got my tickets for Flash Friday 16th, Real Edward Cinema, same in Ontario IMAX screen, and Saturday 17th for Dolby. Can't wait. That for IMAX, that first 15 minutes of the Flash, you're gonna be glad you paid for an IMAX ticket. How you doing, Azteca? William Donna Andy Muschietti is confirmed to be the top choice to direct Batman Brave and Bold. No formal commitment is expected to be made to have. Yeah, I saw that, and I'm on board with that. All you need to see is Flash to know that whatever he gets his hands on is, in my opinion, in good hands. So I'm happy to hear that. He also responded. James Cameron responded with, "Are you the writer? Don't tell me you're the fucking writer. Don't tell me how to fucking write." I didn't see that part. How are your thoughts on DC plans? Nothing like the Flash and critics. Okay, William Powell, what is your thoughts on DC fans not liking the Flash and critics seeing the movie cost $199 million? All the fans that I've engaged love the Flash. As far as what critics' opinions are, when it comes to these type of movies, a critic's opinion means nothing to me. I've seen enough movies. I know what I want as a film fan. I don't need the advice of a critic anymore. Nothing, like I said, we're not knocking critics. I personally, William Powell has no use for a critic because I feel that I understand what I want in a movie. I know I've seen enough filmmakers work. I've seen enough Andy Muschietti. I've seen enough to where if a movie has a certain things in it that I understand that I need to see that movie, and I don't need a critic. And for the most part, I don't need another fan. Now, will I listen more to a fan that is sitting shotgun with me all the time for these movies and knows what I like? Yeah, a little bit more. Are there some critics out there that I've gone to many of these screenings with that we are on the same vibe? Yeah, but there's not very many. So what other fans think about a movie and critics think about a movie after all these years of watching movies, they just don't mean anything to me anymore. I mean, like I said, there are certain things that I just need to have in a movie, and if they are there, I'm going to see the movie. Or if they are if they are implied that they're there, I'm going to go see that movie, whether a critic loves it or not. William thought on Villamy expanding Lady Jessica's role in Dune 2. She kind of disappears in the second part of the book, and I made sure as I was writing the screenplay to do the opposite. Good. Good. She's very, I'm glad he's taking certain liberties because, to be honest with you, with all due respect to Frank Herbert, Denny's version is going to be king for me. I think after people have seen Dune Part 2, the books, even though they are the original source, is not going to, the books are not going to be, to me, king of this series. It's going to be his movies. So I'm glad he's taking liberties to this. William thought, man, you got a lot of questions, Jake. William thought on Beyond the Spider-Verse will be at the end of Miles' Spider-Verse film. That's it for us. We're so tired, says Chris Nolan. I think it might be the end of his animated stuff. But I really do think that if Miles Morales is going to become live action where there's a lot more money, then they need to be in control of that character. I think that's got to be part of the negotiations. That even if it drifts into the cluster F that is the MCU, that those guys make sure that they're the ones writing the story, so that we can temper the nonsense that happens with the Marvel Clutterverse. If this is gonna eventually happen, and who knows when it will ever happen, in live action Miles Morales, wherever Miles Morales goes, live action, Lord Miller need to go with them. Even if it's just writing the story. They have proven that they are the ones to do it, and I really don't want to see anybody else messing around with it. So I hope they're not too tired to get that going. Let's see. We're not going to talk about the end credit scene because not everybody obviously saw the same screenings yet. So we're going to keep that under lid till next week when we have our spoiler discussion. Not going to lie, I'm so drunk. I don't know what's going on. Nice to see you, though. How you doing? As long as you're just sitting at your computer, man, that's the best place to be drunk. Nice to see you, Jared. No question here. Just pins and needles for the next weekend when we can finally talk about the Flash completely and openly. Yeah. And by the way, guys, I've seen the movie. Some of you have seen the movie with the additional stuff that's added into it as they get closer to release date. No matter what version of the Flash you've seen, or any movie, any of these movies you've seen, I don't care. Listen, the same magic that you felt when you saw that thing on the screen that you're about to spoil, realize what you're stealing from the next guy. And not everybody can avoid it on the internet, because if you post something online and people are your friends or they follow you on your channels and all that, the algorithm is going to throw that in your face, whether they want to see it or not. I saw a scene from a movie that I've already seen, and a still of it just suggested to me by YouTube. I wasn't looking for that. I can't stay off of YouTube, and a lot of people can't. They shouldn't have to. You should have some discipline. It was special for you. Allow it to be special for the next guy. We only got a week or so, and we can all talk about it. And then when it is time to talk about it, when it has hit the theaters, then if you're going to talk about it on YouTube or anything else, please put a spoiler warning ticker or in the titles, so that people, your normal people, don't jump in and get it ruined for them. Because not everybody's going to be able to see these movies on the first day. Like I said, finances may dictate you not even seeing it for a week or two. So, kind of, it's if you're going to talk to spoilers, at least do the due diligence of making sure that we're being careful about it. Because I've seen people having the Flash ruined for them already, and that sucks. All right, thought on Transformers: Rise of the Beast tracking earned 50 to 60 million in film's domestic opening weekend. I don't know what it needed to do to be a success, but I was assuming it would be 70 or 80, but I don't know. William, what do you think of the Suns waving Chris Paul? I can understand it. He's not a starting point guard anymore, and his body can't take the wear and tear of the season. He's somebody you get, like say if the Lakers are to get him, he's somebody you get and you have to bring him off the bench and you have to manage his minutes. If you manage his minutes, and the Phoenix can't do that, they need a starting point guard. They need a starting, a floor general. If you're able to manage his minutes and bring him off the bench and prevent the wear and tear that eventually will become his downfall midway or towards the end of the season, he could probably be a very, very valuable asset. I would like for the Lakers to look into it for the right money, because he's being bought out. So you can offer him anything you want because the Suns are going to have to pay that out with the stretch provision. So if you're looking for a point guard that can bring that kind of wisdom and at times bring you some athleticism and some shot making, Chris Paul is perfect. He just can't be a starting point guard anymore. He can't play 40 minutes anymore. It destroys his body. Any team that he is on that has fallen short of winning a title, it's usually because he's not available. And he's the main cog. So I wish him good luck. Chris Miller says superhero fatigue doesn't exist, but I believe it's a movie that feels like a movie I've seen a dozen times before me. Yeah, it's a quality thing. When you're putting out, nobody felt comic book fatigue when I was sitting with them watching The Flash. I sure as hell didn't feel comic book movie fatigue when we were watching Spider-Verse. We feel comic book fatigue when we get Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous whatever the hell. We feel fatigue when we get Ant-Man Quantumania. We feel fatigue when we get Black Adam. We feel fatigue when we get movies that are either not event-level movies or they're just not very good. But when the movies are good, notice that fatigue talk goes away. He says the audience in the theater cannot be sustained on Easter eggs and reveals. Yeah, he's right. And this is coming from a guy who gave you a bunch of them this last weekend. Yes, I did. I love this show. Jeebus, what's going on? William Thon and Chris Miller says Spider-Verse films gave the opportunity to show the limitless possibilities. And it definitely does. And the style of animation that they've done, I know it takes forever to get done, but it's beautiful. I hope it becomes cheaper and faster to do in the future because I'd love to see more of it. Film Junkie saw The Flash tonight. Yeah, I saw his review. Said it was a love letter to DC, and I'm getting the impression more and more that the interaction. Yeah. Not just Snyderverse, though. It's a love letter to DC films in general. That's why I think this movie is going to make a lot of money because it's not just talking to any one demographic. The Flash talks to everybody who's ever seen a comic book or DC movie. If you've ever seen a DC movie in your lifetime, if you've ever watched a DC show in your lifetime, if you've ever just been in a conversation of one, this movie has something to offer you. And those are the kind of movies that make a lot of money, where different types of people can go together and see them over and over again. All right. He said, for too long, studios are mandating that all films look the same. We wanted to blow your doors open. Good. I love that mentality, and I love that comment. I hope that's the way James Gunn approaches his universe. I think that the comic book genre has been hurt by everybody thinking that because Marvel had success their way, everybody had to do it their way. And I think that was detrimental to the rest of the comic book genre. I heard that was amazing. I heard that that might get some Oscar buzz. Haven't seen it yet. It's on Amazon. That means I can see it. Cool. William Thon and Jenna reveals Wednesday season 2. We'll focus more on the horror aspect. We're ditching any romantic love interest, which is really great. We're going to get bolder and more dark. Yeah, I thought that although I love Wednesday, the one aspect of it I thought that just didn't fit for me was the love interest thing. Even though that led to her going on a date and doing that weird ass dance, but I think that this is the right move. Any advice for sobering up? I'll just see. All right, I am the wrong guy to ask about that or anything else to do with alcohol. I have never even tasted alcohol. There's going to be some of you that don't believe me. I don't care. It's really not. It's not something I need to prove to anybody. In my time on this planet, I have never tasted alcohol. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never done any drugs. Never smoked any weed. That's it. So I've been sober since September of 1974, September 7th to be exact. So far, so good. So that's the only advice I can give you. Was sorry, man. I know you're joking though, but get some sleep, man. That hangover might be rough. I'm gonna watch Air soon, probably tomorrow. Yeah, I need to watch it. Williams, Secret Invasion episode runtimes, episode 152 minutes. That's good. 44 seconds, episode 250. Yeah, all right, that's good to hear because I'm tired of these half-hour shows, man. And then you only got 6 episodes. You're really only giving me 3 hours of TV. Come on. So this is good. Secret Invasion is one of the few Marvel Cinematic Universe things that I have been looking forward to. That and next season of Loki. Yeah, it's just something I never got into, and then I just kept it that way. Yeah, a lot of people are smoking weed right now, especially in places where it's legal. Shit. I listen. I'm not knocking weed or anything like that. Do what is legal. I would rather have you, all the drugs that are available. I would rather have you smoking weed than anything else. A guy high on weed is a guy laying down on his couch and taking a nap. That's just dangerous to society. So there you go. Pointer said, William, I watched the Abbreviated of the Gods tonight, and I actually liked it. I think it's far better than the first one. I thought the first one was slightly better because the first one had a slightly better story, but I really did like Fury of the Gods. I really enjoyed that movie. William, thought on the sequence where spider people chase after Miles across the Spider-Verse took 4 years to complete. Wow. That's a long time. I saw that, and I'm like, wow, damn. That's commitment right there, man. That is commitment. I can barely spend 3 hours trying to get something done. Just imagine what you're going through in life for 3 hours to be able to commit to something like that and then bring it to fruition. So I heard that this afternoon. That's like amazing. So, all right, William thought on Christopher Nolan says he didn't want to judge Oppenheimer in this film, which is good. That's when you're doing a historical person like that, you should never judge them. A lot of people, when they do Kennedy stuff like that, the womanizing and everything else, when you're directing a movie, you should never sit in judgment of the subject you're doing movie. So that's the right way to go, in my opinion. He says that it seems pointless exercise. It's more of a stuff of a documentary or political theory or a history of science. This is a story that you experience with him. Yeah. And this is going to be weird. So experiencing an Oppenheimer story through the eyes of, the creator of death itself. Tomorrow night, let me see for sure we're doing a going on there, and then I'll let you know. I'll message you back. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I tried to do my 10 bell salute thing, and I couldn't get it to upload for the Iron Sheik, who passed away yesterday at age of 81. And I really wanted to open up with that, but I had like we did when what's his face died? Briscoe. When Briscoe brother died, I had the 10 bell salute. I really wanted to have that, but it didn't load, and that's why I was kind of late in getting on in the delay. But the Iron Sheik, I cannot overstate how important he is to modern wrestling. I know that's going to sound weird at 81 years old. If it weren't for Iron Sheik, doing what he did in the 80s, being willing to play the heel and take all the hate that went with it, to be the guy, the yin to Hulk Hogan's yang, to make it, because without the proper villain, Hulk Hogan's babyface, and the babyface term never really it never happens. He was a part of the whole rock and wrestling in the 80s, the whole Cyndi Lauper era. The Iron Sheik was there. He was he was, in my opinion, he was the original heel as far as how we look at things today. You look at MJF, you look at all these guys that are way more articulate because English was their first language. Everybody looks back at the Iron Sheik because he was the first to do it. And he did it during an era where we didn't realize, as kids, that it was not real. And even the adults that went to these things did not, they took it seriously. They threatened him. They called him all kinds of names, and he always stayed in character. He was really Iranian. And he was Iranian at a time when it was not cool to be Iranian. You got to realize he was, he was coming into the country. He reached the height of his popularity. He was a world champion in early 1980s when the Iran hostage crisis was going on, right in the heat of that. So he wasn't just an Iranian. He was literally the focal point of a lot of people's hatred, whether you liked wrestling or not. He maintained his composure and did what he needed to do. And that includes him losing to Hulk Hogan at Madison Square Garden, I think January of 1984, was a huge moment. And even Hulk Hogan admits this. Hulkamania is not born if it had it not been for what Iron Sheik did that night. And Vern Gagne, there were people offering Iron Sheik money to just to leave the company with the belt rather than lose to Hulk Hogan. But he knew his role. He knew his part in history. And he made a lot of money out of it in his day from that. But when we look at modern day wrestling right now, and we look at the structure of it, the Iron Sheik is an underrated figure in all of that. If you know who Hulk Hogan is and you revere Hulk Hogan and all these other guys' place in wrestling history, you have to, whether you realize it or not, pay homage to the Iron Sheik, who passed away today or yesterday at 81. And the only thing I can say about this is, listen, 81 to me, people are living much, much longer. But in an era where a lot of our wrestlers, especially during his era, are not making it to at least 60 or 65, for him, especially when his failing health the last 5 or 6 years, for him to live a long, full life and to see grandchildren and to see all this, to see a lot of things like guys like Owen Hart and Roddy Piper and Baby Boy Smith, all those guys did not get a chance to see. Rick Rude, the Ultimate Warrior. All these guys that did not make it into their 80s. Thank goodness that Iron Sheik had a long, long life. And like I said, sorry to go on too long, but if you watch my show or you've been around me at all, you know how wrestling is a big part of just everything that makes me happy. And that era is where I started watching wrestling. So, congratulations to the Iron Sheik on a long, well-lived life. You will be missed. But like I said, this wrestling fan understood your importance a lot sooner than a lot of people did. So rest in peace, Iron Sheik. Thank you for bringing that up, Jeeves, because like I said, I meant to have it in my my opening and I couldn't get it loaded. All right, so William thought in the room that El Muerto movie might get canceled. Maybe. I mean, wouldn't shock me. What shocked me is that it's being greenlit. But hey, it's had Bad Bunny. Listen, I'm not into Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny wouldn't work. Name me a place where Bad Bunny isn't a draw, even on wrestling. And actually, he's a much better wrestler than he ever should be. By the way, he should not be able to carry a match in any way, shape, or form, and he's almost able to at sometimes. And doing some high risk maneuvers. If I'm his agent, I may not want him to do. So. Yeah, he had several hero turns. Remember, he had the original heel turn. He also had the one in the 90s, remember? Into an Iraqi sympathizer as the Iraq war was happening. It was Colonel Adnan, and then it was Mustafa. He played, instead of the Iron Sheik, he played Colonel Mustafa. At a time we were going to war in the Middle East. And him and Sergeant Sauter got more threats in, but you know what? They did what was asked of them, and that was just an era of wrestling to where, you just gotta, be committed to it. To be honest, no word has been El Muerto as much since the announcement. Yeah, maybe Sony just wants you to forget about it. I don't know, man. But then that's the kind of movie that comes out, and I'll think it'll be like, what the hell? And then it'll make $100-200 million. I don't, I have no plans on seeing it. But like I said, I know a lot of Bad Bunny fans that do not give a rat's ass about Spider-Man or anything else. They're going to go to see that movie because El Muerto's in it, or Bad Bunny's in it. Yeah, I started watching wrestling in the early 80s. So yeah, Iron Sheik to me was like, it was huge. And he, like I said, he literally was the launching pad on which Hulkamania was launched. And Hulkamania launched WWF at that time, into a stratosphere that would never have happened without the things that happened in the 80s. All right, guys, we are at 37 minutes, and I'm going to cap this out at 45 minutes. I got to show some damn discipline. All right, let me make sure I'm like. Some of you guys are messaging me. All right. So yeah, Iron Sheik, rest in peace, man. You know, hopefully some of these guys make it into their 90s. Hope Ric Flair lives forever. Let's knock on wood. Yeah, I mean, there was a time where Ric Flair had some health scares. I remember when I thought we were going to lose Ric Flair one weekend, and I'm like, dude, I'm not ready to lose Ric Flair. Not ready to lose anybody, but I sure as hell was not ready to lose what, in my opinion, is the greatest wrestling personality of all time. All right. Let's see. Iron Sheik was on Howard Stern a lot, and he still played. Yeah, he did. He's stating because that's what you did back then. And I remember watching a documentary where he was driving around with Hacksaw Duggan, and they were smoking weed. You know, had drugs in the car, and they got arrested. They were more concerned about being seen together because you broke what was called kayfabe at the time. In the 80s, you just didn't do that. Than they were about the drug charges. It's funny. Yes, R.I.P. R.I.P. Iron Sheik. Azteca wrestling in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s was where it was at. After 2006, it died for me. Been garbage ever since then. Certain promotions, once WWE in the late 90s started to falter for me, it forced me to go watch and find out, seek out other stuff. That's how I find, things like New Japan, MLW, AAA, All Japan, NWA, and all these other ones that are out right now. It's I think that WWE dominated so much of the scene that if it wasn't good, a lot of people just got turned off from wrestling because not a lot of people were going to do the work. And you didn't have, in 06, you had the internet, but you didn't have it in the way that we have it now. There was no YouTube like that, so you couldn't really branch out like you can now. So a lot of these wrestlers from the 80s and 90s are really only living up to their 60s. Yeah, a lot of that is because of the life that they lived. Drugs, painkillers, and you can say, hey, you know what? They did drugs, they died. That's what happened to people who do drugs. But we weren't living their lives. We weren't, on the road 265 days a year, tearing up your body at house shows, pay-per-views, everything else, with no insurance, no health care plan, nothing. If you couldn't show up to the ring and wrestle, you lost your spot, and that means you lost your money. And a lot of these guys, in order to work through the pain, they did a lot of drugs and they did a lot of painkillers. And now, as their bodies are getting older and they're in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, their hearts are starting to shrink. Their cardiovascular systems are starting to expose the damage that they did to themselves during those years. I know that was the case with Roddy Wright Piper. I know Ultimate Warrior. And a lot of them are dying of heart malfunctions and liver and everything else because they did these things and they're in the roids, the steroids, everything. We can look at them and judge them now, but, say, hey, a bunch of junkies or whatever, but they did what they needed to do to continue to work, feed their families, and maintain their lifestyles. And a lot of people, no matter what walk of life and what job you're doing, and you won't necessarily take steroids, but there's a lot of things you will do to maintain your ability to pay for your mortgage, feed your family, take care of your kids in a way that they're not broke and poor, especially when you're on the road for most of their childhood. So, yeah, it's a lot of these guys aren't making it. I mean, the Davey Boy Smiths, both British Bulldogs are dead. Both Road Warriors are dead. I mean, I did a show with Mondo a couple of ago, maybe last year. We just went up and down the line of all the guys that did not make it into old age because of what they did to their bodies. And every time you see a flashback on a wrestling show, you realize that 7 out of the 10 people that are on your screen are no longer with us, and they died young, and they should still be here. So, yeah, it's a sobering reality, what they did for our enjoyment. It does. It's a ridiculous comic book character, so I don't know why they're doing this. All right, I did get back into it on Robert Rodriguez Ray. Yeah, La Lucha. Yeah, that stuff is good. Now we're with Lucha Underground. Too bad it only lasted a few years. It was awesome. Hope they bring that back. All right, guys, that's it. 42 minutes and 36 seconds. I got to cut it off here, or otherwise I will go all night, especially if we start diving into wrestling. So I will not see you tomorrow night. I will see you on Friday. We're working on the Star Trek show. Hopefully we can get it going by then. And then we'll do our overnighter and all our usual weekend shenanigans. So wherever you're at, wherever your time zone is, go ahead and get some sleep, get some food, or in that particular order. And I will see you the next time I see you. Bye.